Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, July 25th, 2014. And this is Before the First Cup with Jules and Lady Pitbull on UCY.TV. Good morning.
Hi, where are you?
Oh, wonderful. Happy Friday.
Hey, happy Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Woohoo!
It was a long week. It's nice and cool here. It was low of 52. I was up bright and early before the sun today.
Nice.
And now the sun is shining and it's 53.
Oh, that's great.
But no humidity and very comfortable. I don't even have a fan on today or an air conditioner, so it's pleasant.
Nice. That's the way it was here yesterday. It was like a perfect day here. It was like absolutely, picture perfect. And now the humidity's starting to come up, and we're supposed to get raging thunderstorms like the next 2 days in a row.
Oh, wouldn't you know it? So I guess I will be offline. I'm leaving town after the show today. Actually,
Good for you.
I didn't get as much done last night as I planned because I slept. But hey, can you hear? Can you hear
it?
I did what I said I was going to do. I doubled the last 2 doses to give it, and I have 3 more left. So I figured that way I'll do singles for the next 3. But those double doses, I think, knocked it pretty good.
Oh,
there was
gosh,
still
I'm
a little
crossing my fingers.
Still a little bit. Well, I got 1 more prescription, and like I said, I really hate doing this stuff, but I was pretty damn sick. And you know how, like, when you don't realize you're sick when you are sick until you're not sick anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
You're just like, holy shit, I was sick.
That's pretty dramatic.
The haze is gone.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm feeling much better, and I am done with my antibiotics today, and I have some beer that's calling my name. 10 days and it's sitting there with my name on it.
That's great. Wow, you were sick if you haven't drank beer in 10 days.
Oh, if I got to take antibiotics, that means you're sick, right? I try to be good. I try to sleep, and I've gotten quite a number of 12-hour overnights in the last week and a half.
It's a good deal. Very good.
Speaking of beer, anyone who's a beer aficionado, I wanted to turn you on to something I found today. I don't think I have it up anymore, so hold on. I did post. I posted it into a beer crew group that one of our listeners has added me to. And,
all right.
Let me see what it's called. One of the things that we've discovered over the last couple of years is that craft beer, is very difficult to find. It's very localized, but for those of you who don't know about craft beer is made with like all natural ingredients. It's pretty damn awesome. You don't have any of the preservatives or the formaldehydes or any of the other stuff that you get in the commercialized brew.
Awesome.
So that's what's right, and that's what's good about it. And you're supporting small local establishments, And so we, one of the things that I've discovered is that I wasn't able to drink beer for a long time because it just made me not feel well. But I was convinced to try craft, and I got to tell you, it's delicious. Number 1, and number 2, it's all natural ingredients. You can't go wrong. Honestly, it's probably some of the cleanest stuff you're going to get, and they're from all over the country. You can find them, but each location, like whatever region I'm in up here in the Northeast, I can get certain beers that you can't get, let's say, in California or in Texas or in Florida. And so one of the big things for people who are collectors or, people who are taste testers who like to try this stuff is that... either you got to go visit another part of the country or you're going to go without. Well, I found a website today. There have been other websites out there that said they will ship beer, but there were only certain states that they would ship to. I found a website by accident, completely looking for something else, but I was like, holy crap. It's called Beership, beership.com. Yeah, pretty good name, too. Yeah. They have all the big names. And definitely stuff that I've been looking for and haven't been able to get. And they ship to just about every state that I couldn't find places that they ship to. So they ship to New York, California, Illinois, Texas, Wyoming, Wisconsin. Like, it's unbelievable. So if anybody is into craft beer, shipping is a little bit expensive. but if you buy like a bunch and then ship them all together, it cuts down on the shipping.
Beership.com, huh?
Beership.com. But yeah, anyone who is a craft beer aficionado and is looking for beers that are hard to come by might be worth a look. Because I saw some crazy stuff there that I've never seen before. So
cool.
Anyway, figured that would be my little piece of Friday trivia for you. So next time at the water cooler, you hear someone going, man, you know, my uncle was telling me about this craft beer he got when he was in California, and my beer place said they don't carry it here. Might want to check that place out.
That's cool. I don't even drink beer, but
I didn't. I mean, in college I did, but for probably 20 years I didn't. And
wow.
I gotta tell you, I really enjoy it.
But there is a stinking TV show that I kind of watch that's on. It's called Brew Dogs, and it's these two totally hot Scottish guys that are running around the country brewing craft beer in really cool and inventive ways. They brewed, like, I mean, they literally did a boil and a mash and all that stuff, like, underwater one time.
Uh-huh.
They did it on a racetrack, you know? They're doing it, like, with I don't know, they got all these crazy ideas on how to brew, like, a mash, and they did, like, in Las Vegas, they did the most expensive brew, and they actually put gold leaf in it and all.
Did you ever have Goldschlager?
No.
Oh God, there was a party like probably, oh my God, early 90s. It was the first and only time I ever had Goldschlager, but it had like hunks of gold floating in it.
Yeah,
it was cinnamon flavored. It's good. It's really good. I remember I got pretty wrecked on that.
It's pretty funny. But yeah, those two are totally hot. They've got totally hot accents.
And do they brew beer in kilts?
No, that's the only downfall. That is the only downfall. They really should be brewing beer in
kilts. Yeah, maybe.
I'm personally a certified kilt inspector. So.
Yes. Maybe it's a health department issue.
Right.
All right, what a way to start a Friday.
That's great. Beer and kilts. Can't go wrong.
And low humidity.
Yes.
Because kilts and high humidity probably don't work out too well. Wool. No wicking cotton. So, actually, we might as well, just because it is Friday, and we'll start it out right. I did find two stories, speaking of alcohol, that I thought were pretty interesting. One was titled, and you know, here's the thing, like, all the hosts on the network, and most of them have Facebook pages, and the reason why many of us have Facebook pages is to advertise for shows and whatever. I mean, it's the easiest way among the other channels, but it definitely is an easy way. So they all are Facebook friends of mine. We communicate that way. It's an easy way. We drop files back and forth, whatever. But some of them must think I'm pretty crazy because of the stuff that I post. Well, damn, the story won't come up. Trying to bring it up while I could at least read you the title. I don't know, pages aren't loading for me, as always. How to make alcoholic popsicles. Perfect of all frozen summer treats.
Oh, you dropped that to me yesterday, and I read every single word of it.
Come up. Oh, here it goes. It's summer, it's hot, it's sticky, and you need to cool off. Actually, I might try these this weekend.
Yeah.
The ice melts in your drink almost faster than you can take your first sip, and soon enough you're stuck with some watered-down cocktail concoction that is quickly warmed to room temperature. Sound appealing? Nope. The quick solution, boozy ice pops! First you need a mold which to make your frozen cocktails or pop-tails, which they show a bunch of molds. Anyone who has kids probably has popsicle molds. While a recipe is certainly helpful in ensuring that your pop-tail tastes good, a simple ratio will make sure the alcohol freezes successfully. For those of you who store tequila bottles in the freezer, understand that pure liquor pop won't freeze. Yes, so you probably have to mix it with juices and stuff, and yeah, that's exactly what you do. And then put in some fruit, lemon, lime, orange, and freeze it. Looks pretty damn good to me.
Man, I totally want to try it.
Well, it's Friday. You got anything to use it with?
Well, I'm really curious. First, I have to go get the molds because I don't have the molds. But I am curious if I can make a chocolate one.
Oh.
Because I have dark chocolate vodka and dark chocolate liqueur. And that's what JJ posted with me, like, dancing around at Freedom Palooza. That's what I was drinking, a chocolate martini.
Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah, martinis will mess you up quick.
Yeah, that's nice, actually.
They're really too strong for me. For a while, I had a friend that I worked with a long time ago, and he was very into, like, these amazing Cosmos and gave me his secret recipe. Oh my God, was it good. And I'll tell you, Paul and I used to make them here on a Friday, and they were good. I could drink one, but they were so boozy they'd almost like burn your lips, you know?
Oh, that's pretty boozy.
Yeah, super boozy, but very good. You know, after 2 or 3 sips, you didn't taste it anymore.
Right.
So, then the damage was already done.
Excuse me.
There was one more story that came out of Japan today. I was actually scanning for Fukushima news, and this came through my feed. It's titled Sparkling Tomato Booze.
Oh, my. Really?
Woo! Out of Tokyo. Personally, I can't stand the taste of tomato juice, even if I try to be healthy and buy a mixed fruit and vegetable drink. If there's even a hint of tomato going on, the carton gets immediately shoved back into the fridge for my wife to try. But if you are one of those folks who just can't get enough of that curious red stuff, there is a new drink you might want to try this summer, Toma Toma Sparkling. Oh, and it has alcohol in it. Toma Toma Sparkling is made with 27% tomato juice, packing a 4% ABV, promising a refreshing combination of tomato sweetness and soda water, perfect for the hot weather. So 4%, you'll get a nice little buzz. It's like a lawnmower booze.
That's funny.
Or you put it in your cup holder while you're riding the rider in circles for an acre under your umbrella hat.
That's great.
With straws.
Right.
All right, so that's all I got.
That's awesome.
I'm going to do some cup posting now. You know, I've been up since 5, so I probably should have had a cup ready. And, you know, I had like 8 of them ready on my other machine, but I haven't been at my other machine this morning. I was trying to get all my stuff cut for the weekend and got sidetracked a lot. So I still need to work when we get off air, but shouldn't take too long.
Good. Just knock it out and get the hell out. That's what
that's my point.
Yep.
It's going to be a nice driving day.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's going to be nice. You know, you'll be able to, like, just roll the windows down and have a really nice drive. This is, like, the best day to drive if it's low humidity, nice and sunny out.
I'm planning on ATVing this weekend.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh my gosh, that sounds like fun.
Hey, by the way, I think I talked about this, but I'm going to mention it for anyone who didn't hear, but I guess tick season is really super bad this year. And
tick season?
Yeah, and if you've ever seen actual pictures, like in reference size of like how big to how little or how little to how big ticks could be, it is unbelievable how tiny they can be. You know, you figure, like, anytime I've ever had a run-in with a tick, it was big enough so I could feel it and I could get it in my fingers, you know?
Yeah.
Before it got into the skin, like I found it on my skin. But I guess from what I've seen, they can actually be as tiny as like the head of a pin, like these tiny little itty-bitty freaking dots. No, so it looks like a little piece of, you know, when you're going through long grass and stuff, there's the ones that have the, you know, tall ends on them. They look like little mini cattail type things, and, you know, they get stuff on it. And you know how, like, your pants and sweatshirt and whatever end up getting, like, seeds on it as you brush through. I mean, those could be ticks. That's how tiny they are.
Oh, my gosh. I can't even imagine that.
So just be aware. You know, I'm actually not as good as I should be about the whole thing, because you really should wear white so you can see them. That's number one. And I always wear like a black sweatshirt. I have
me too.
Sweatshirts. And I'll wear shorts which is stupid. But you should wear pants and white so you can see it, and then do a full check. And especially with long hair. I mean, my hair's so super long now. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even have a hat on. I used to always have really short hair and wear a hat. So
yeah. Oh gosh.
That kind of worries me a little bit. Riding.
I saw a tick on my friend's dog. They live out in the country, so, ticks are all over the place. This sucker was, like, totally embedded, totally engorged, and about bigger than a quarter. It was huge. It was just, because it was engorged at that point, but it was gigantic.
You got to be careful, too, when you're taking them out, not to let that, their little pricker sticker thingy get stuck in you.
Yeah.
Because that still has whatever that spigot bacteria is that causes Lyme's disease. If it's got Lyme's, it'll continue to spread it. My friend told me she used a credit card the one time that she found one on the back of her neck. And that credit card, you just like zip it right down and it rips it right out with the little thingy.
Yeah.
But I had also read about using like Vaseline. You put Vaseline over the top of it and it suffocates it. Yeah. So it actually dislodges itself and dislodges its sticker, sucker, biter thingy.
Yeah. Tick combs work really well for me. Those are really, they're like metal teeth, very, very close together. And all you got to do, just like the credit card, just run it right over and it traps it in the teeth. Oh. And yeah, so I mean, right where it is. It doesn't fall out because it's trapped in that teeth of that comb. And I think a regular plastic comb will do it too, just as easily. So when I went to Freedom Palooza, I was kind of like running around trying to find a tick comb, but because I forgot mine at home, and I had brought my dog.
So Wendy travels with tick combs.
Yeah, well, I travel with my dog, so I brought my dog with me, and so I was like, I better get a tick comb. So I went and got $1 comb, and I was okay, no ticks. So knock on wood.
Yeah, that's good. So have you been following any of the infectious disease? I know we talked about bubonic plague and some of that other crap.
Everywhere.
I haven't looked at any stories from today, but
I'm not sure. Wow. God, here's a weird story. It's sort of holy crap. It's sort of a disease spreader, this story, I guess. I just picked it up. It says, yikes, man. And this is happening in D.C. So, former contractor says that she was attacked by rats at D.C.'s Providence Hospital. And they are definitely, so there's a hospital with a rat problem. So if you want to spread diseases, rats are a nice way to do it. And ticks too, and mosquitoes. Of course, they're all over the place. So it says, it's an odd way, or it's an odd and very disturbing story. A hospital contractor in northeast D.C. was attacked by rats on the job, she says.
Jesus.
They're the same rats that are eating bodies in the morgue.
What? Where is this?
Washington, D.C., right down the District of Criminals.
Oh, my God.
It says they're going into places like
morgues.
God, are you guys serious? Here you go. This is perfect for first in the morning. They are going into places like the anal area, the
God.
The pubic area of males. Doris Kengard said that's where they would get in. Oh, sorry guys, but
this is like really good for breakfast.
I know, that's what I'm like, this is good for the first thing in the Friday morning. This is just one of the many incidents Kengard feasted on bodies from inside the morgue here at DC's Providence Hospital for 2 years. From 2007, Kengard worked for a contractor who ran the hospital morgue. It's a bid she won herself in 2009. But she claims the opportunity was far from a perk because the infestation, she could never find employees, so she worked alone many times. And the shift almost proved deadly when a rat attacked her and put her in the hospital with a number of health exams. They were getting inside the bags, she said. They were actually gnawing inside the bags and leaving the remnants of where they were eating to get inside of the bags.
Oh my goodness.
Parts of the bag on the tray, I saw scratches on the bodies. Kengard feels the rats at Providence were booming because coolers in the morgue frequently broke down, causing bodies to warm. And she says the morgue is right next to the hospital trash compactor. They tried to cover this thing up from day one, said Gregory Latimer. Her attorney says employees he interviewed claimed rats have controlled Providence for almost 40 years. Oh my God. Man, this is just way beyond the pale here. If you look down there now, I'd be willing to bet you'd find the same problem, and maybe even bigger, Latimer said.
You gotta wonder in New York City, too.
Oh, you've gotta wonder. I mean, if this is a problem in D.C.
Right.
New York.
That's what I was thinking.
Teeming. The hospital continues to just set traps for the rodents, but the workers say nothing has changed.
Sticky traps!
Kengard eventually ended her contract with Providence, really? I guess so, and recently sued the hospital for emotional distress. Yeah, and giant freaking attack rats.
Her dreams of giant rats with red eyes.
Oh my God! And a jury. This is weird. And a jury agreed with more than a $230,000 reward. Still, she is far from celebrating. She is now in aggressive therapy and feels she can never return to her career and could face future financial troubles. But even after everything she has gone through, Kengard cries thinking about the horror of what she has seen rats do to people.
No kidding. Like, she should be suing for physical and mental distress.
Yeah, absolutely. It could have been anyone in my family. Every time I think about the way those people were treated and doing with a hospital like Providence Hospital, nothing like this should ever happen at any hospital in the United States, she said. Of course, the news attempted to contact the hospital to comment, but they have not returned their calls. So that is like, when you got rats feasting on dead bodies, boy, that's a real disease spreader there.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Because that's all they have to do. I mean, really, if somebody dies from a disease and the rats like start munching, you know what I mean? That could be just absolutely totally devastating.
So is DC that far gone? I mean, do they have rats eating people in morgues in freaking Michigan and Detroit?
Not that I've ever heard of. I mean, there's a funeral home like 3 or 4 blocks from me that's up for sale if anybody wants it.
Oh, that would be a creepy ass place to own.
Want that? No. Oh my! So that's a bad deal. I mean, just I can't even imagine if like there was a pandemic and then those rats like, you know.
Well, and that's how bubonic and pneumonic plague spread. Well, pneumonic is lungs, but bubonic is from rodent shit.
Rats, yeah, absolutely. Mice and rats,
Mm-hmm.
and it killed
and squirrels and
millions of people.
Little fuzzy creatures.
Yeah, fuzzy nutted creatures.
Well, maybe that's how they're planning on getting rid of all them in governments. Overrun them with bubonic plague rats. Maybe it's the beginning of an invasion.
Oh, perhaps.
People.
Man, well, that just shows you the dark, seedy underbelly of DC right there.
Yeah.
You could any more accurate than that story I just read. Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. That was nasty. Let's see. I'm just trying to look for some more stuff.
I did a sign of a guy standing on it looks like he's standing against a building, and he's got a cardboard placard written with black Sharpie, and all it says is, "We'll work for coffee."
Ah, that's great.
Today. Breakfast Cup Friday edition.
Yay! I've got one. Got one already. And this is like, I mean, in terms of all these viruses that are spreading, this has got to be like the top of the heap of what I'm deathly afraid of, are these deadly superbugs that are spreading in U.S. hospitals. And this came out like on, what was it, CNBC 19 hours ago. So it says, cases of the contagious and deadly superbug known as CRE increased fivefold in community hospitals from 2008 to 2012 in the southeastern U.S., according to a new study.
What is CRE?
Here we go. It's antibiotic-resistant bacterium.
Right, but I mean, what kind of bacterium?
Oh,
like, you know, MRSA?
Yeah.
Staph.
Okay, here we go. Let me keep reading because I'm hoping it'll answer that question. While the actual number of patients discovered was low, 305, the worry is that CRE infections are underreported and threaten healthcare facilities nationwide, said one of the reporters. CRE is an antibiotic-resistant bacterium that usually strikes people in hospitals, nursing home, and other healthcare centers. So I guess it didn't answer that.
I'll find it.
Let's see. Nope, it's not answering it at all. This is a wake-up call for hospitals on how to detect the disease, said Dr. Joshua Thadden, one of the leading authors for the study published in August issue of Medical Journal, Infection Control and Hospital Epidemiology. Epidemiology, sorry.
Here. It's carbapenem-resistant enterobactericinae. So entero is internal.
Mm-hmm.
The Kielbasa species.
Wow.
It's like Klebsiella. And Escherichia coli are examples of this, the normal part of the human gut bacteria, and can become resistant. Types of CRE. Oh, is this that uncontrollable diarrhea that they can't control? I'm wondering.
That is,
Healthy people typically don't get it. Patients in hospitals, nursing homes, and other healthcare settings do. Patients whose care requires things like ventilators, urinary catheters, intravenous catheters, and patients who are taking long courses of certain antibiotics, which I've had them that way intravenously, can get CRE infections. So I wonder if it gets into your blood. And it can contribute up to 50% death in patients who become infected.
Oh yeah, I mean it's really hard.
Serious.
Yeah, I think the diarrhea thing is something else.
Yeah, I think
this is such wonderful breakfast conversation.
I know.
Sorry, but hey, it says let's see, and the reason for this, is because of the high mortality rate, 50% of CRE. Didn't explain. The fact that we're seeing an increase is concerning. Really, I think. The study is conducted at 25 community hospitals in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and Georgia from 2008 through December 2012. Well, they should have hit D.C. too at Providence. Adding to the concern, a report published last month that found another superbug, MRSA, is at firehouses in Washington State. Researchers at the University of Washington School of Public Health tested 33 firehouses for the presence of MRSA. The bug was found in 19 of those firehouses on ambulances, trucks, and kitchen surfaces.
Nice.
Whoa. 12 crews reported having at least one member who had gotten an infection requiring medical care. No deaths have been reported. Now, these guys are rescue guys, especially those who drive ambulances. So the very rescue workers that come to your aid are potentially carrying this MRSA, guys. That's crazy. Dr. Allison Bartlett, an infection disease specialist with Rabida Children's Hospital in Chicago.
What's that?
La Rabida, so it sounds like La Rabies almost to me.
Nice.
La Rabida Children's Hospital in Chicago said it was no surprise the bacteria was found where it was, living in close quarters, and a lack of frequent cleaning of high-touch surfaces likely all contribute to the high rates of bacterial contamination, she said. MRSA stands for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus and is another drug-resistant bacteria. It causes a range of illness from skin and wound infections to pneumonia and bloodstream infections that can cause sepsis and death.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can get MRSA through direct contact with an infected wound or by sharing personal items such as towels, razors that have touched infected skin.
Or public payphones.
Or public payphones.
In New York City. I remember that, actually. They warned us.
God. Yikes. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they took all those public payphones out. There are more than 80,000 cases of MRSA detected each year in the U.S., with a reported 11,285 deaths. CRE is an acronym for Carbapeum resistant, it's just what you just said. Enterobacteriaceae. Yeah, whatever you just said. Because the various strains of bacteria are mostly resistant to antibiotics, is known as a superbug. CRE can be transferred from a patient to the hands of a healthcare worker, like a doctor or nurse, from their hands to another patient. And an estimated 9,300 people in the U.S. are infected by CRE every year, resulting in around 600 deaths. All in all, there are at least 2 million illnesses reported each year from the various superbugs, resulting in 23,000 deaths, according to the CDC. Yeah, let's trust their numbers. Let's see, since most CRE cases, and even some MRSA infections, usually start in healthcare facilities, pressure has been mounting in hospitals to do a better job at tracking them, said Dr. Christy Columbus. Really? Dr. Christy Columbus? Okay. Vice Dean for Texas A&M College of Medicine. Many of them have adopted new laboratory guidelines for improving detection, she said. Columbus said that once infections have been detected, proper infection control, like patient isolation, needs to be implemented. Why they're spreading now? Medical experts say that overuse of antibiotics in humans and animals has led to the spread of superbugs. That overuse is likely to continue in animals after a panel of the U.S. Second Court of Appeals ruled Thursday, here we go, guys, that the Food and Drug Administration does not have to consider banning the practice of feeding antibiotics to animals that are not sick. Those bastards! Holy crap, that pisses me off. The appeals court overturned 2 district court rulings in cases brought by the Natural Resource Defense Council and other groups. The suits sought to prompt the FDA to stop the routine use of certain antibiotics in healthy animals unless drug manufacturers prove the safety of each of such use. Antibiotics are often used in livestock as a preventative measure. 80% of all the antibiotics sold in the United States are used in livestock production. There are calls for stronger antibiotics to deal with the superbug spread. However, that's likely to just continue the vicious cycle of drug resistance, said Thatton, a Boston-based specialist on infectious disease. Developing new drugs is important, but the bacteria could end up resisting them as well, he said. And that is the end of that. So all of the beef and the chicken and the pork and everything else that everybody consumes that's from the local, sits on your local supermarket shelf is all full of these freaking drugs. And that's a bad deal. The antibiotics are that's why you're having such a hard time knocking out what you've got. It's because, you know what I mean? These infections are adapting to these antibiotics.
Yeah, I don't exactly know where this infection came from, but I can tell you that I think also there's been an overuse from the medical community just for anything that you ever had. You know, you had a skin problem, they're giving you freaking antibiotics. You know,
you go in and
you got acne. Here, take antibiotics for 3 years.
Sure, absolutely.
3 years.
Yeah. So this all is extremely, extremely dangerous. And, of course, the stupid FDA, they don't have to consider banning the practice of feeding antibiotics to animals. They just, la-di-da.
You know what they did do, though? Something that they did do that I've seen across the board, and there's still a few places, I've talked about this before, where you can get animal antibiotics without a prescription, but they did used to be able to get animal antibiotics even on Amazon, and you cannot any longer. It requires a prescription from your veterinarian.
Oh, yeah. See, now I know a cattle farmer that's up the road from me, and as soon as the calf hits the ground, they have to give it super-duper antibiotics, like the super mega-grade antibiotics, right when that calf hits the ground. Otherwise, it might infect the rest of them, if they get a cold or something like that. And I was just like, do you realize what the hell you're doing? You know what I mean? You're just making it worse. So, but I mean, that's typical, and that's just a tiny little milk dairy farm that's up the road from me. So this problem is, like we were saying, you go in the hospitals, they prescribe it, you get it in our food, milk, everything. I mean, we're surrounded by this crap.
Right, so you want to look at things such as silver, colloidal silver. Oregano has some very high-end antibiotic properties. Also, a lot of the Chinese herbs and spices do as well. So.
Yep, absolutely, especially the oregano. Oregano can be really, really helpful in that, or when you couple all those together, too. So that's hardcore. I mean, my mom's a nurse, and this is the thing she says that terrifies her most of these superbugs. So
right.
Once it spreads, man, I mean, how are you going to stop it? There's no stopping it.
Right. You're not.
Especially if you got freaking rats eating your bodies in the morgue. God dang, man.
That's unbelievable.
I know. Jeez.
There were a couple different crazy stories. Actually, hold on one second. I'm going to bring in my other account, speaking about disturbing morning stories. I have another one.
Yay! Let's keep on the same track. Why not?
Stay on Disturbing Friday Stories. Da, 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 da. I just have to find my account. And then I have to make sure I answer. Here we go.
Dang.
That's unbelievable. Oh, hold on. See? I don't know why that always does it. I thought it was off. Hold the phone.
That's all right.
All right, there we go. Now I can connect back up again. Oh, no. Don't actually turn it off. All right. There we go. Okay, so there were a few other disturbing stories, and this one, and I don't know, I was trying to work very hard at trying to find a segue, and I just couldn't. So disturbing story is the segue. This one is a warning. I posted this on my page yesterday, And I said, is there a lesson to be found in this one? Anyone who uses Craigslist for anything besides trying to find like a wood-burning stove is operating at their own risk. And I'm going to play you this clip to show you why.
25-year-old Charles Oppenheer was the first to be found.
Michigan.
On Wednesday, July 16th, police discovered his body in a wooded area near Gazan Park. His cause of death is still unknown.
We don't know what trauma was caused because after he was murdered, his head was removed by the suspect. And we have not been able to locate his head.
Police began a search for Oppenheer's pregnant girlfriend, 18-year-old Brooke Slocum. When investigators searched her computer, they found out she had been communicating with 31-year-old Brady Ostrike on Craigslist.
We've also recovered email communication between Ostrike and Slocum, in which a meeting for sex was arranged at the Gazan Park during the late hours of Saturday, July the 12th. The conversation also confirms that Oppenheer was to be present at the meeting.
On July 17th, Wyoming police tried to pull Ostrike over, but he crashed his car and took his own life. Police discovered Slocum's body in the trunk.
What?
Investigators focused their search on Ostrike's home.
The investigators have recovered over 400 different items from the home, items that include restraints that would indicate that Ostrike held the victim, Brooke Slocum, in captivity there for a period of time before he murdered her.
Police also discovered dozens of guns, knives, cameras, and monitoring devices. The search continued for 3 days.
We want to be able to walk away at the end of the day and say that we've covered all of the things that we needed to cover, and we're confident that there were no other victims and also no other suspects as well.
Police still don't believe there are any other victims or suspects, but the investigation will continue.
What? So what happened to the pregnant woman?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's weird.
It didn't say anything.
How weird is that?
I don't know, but that took place in Michigan, so how weird that you didn't hear about that on the news.
I totally didn't. That's bizarre.
Disturbing Friday story.
Yes.
There have been actually a couple beheading body part stories lately. There was that one. There was the one that we read or that we heard yesterday or the day before in regards to Hempstead, New York, where they found a torso about 2 weeks ago, and then they found arms in a front yard, and then found another head in a bag in a front yard. So this one, they just found another head. Then I saw one, actually, if you give me 1 second.
That was a head in the trunk, this one, right?
Yeah, this was a head in the trunk. And then there was one that we didn't listen to. It's from a few days ago on Pigmine. Wait, Pigmine.
What is this? 5 heads in a duffel bag? 5 heads in a duffel bag type stuff. Man, what the hell's going on?
What did it say? American. It was an American's body they found in bags. Oh, yeah. American's body found in bags in Mexico. That's going to win one of my best...
I think that we will all live our lives saying...
Best titles of the week. Pretty horrific. Oh, my God. Can you tell, I've been getting immune to this? I think that's really the point of these stories and just pummeling us with shit like this all day long.
Yeah.
Is that you start to get immune. Am I crying for the body parts? No.
No.
It's like, oh, look, more body parts now. I mean, is this supposed to be getting us used to, MS-13 coming up over the border in an invasion?
Exactly. It gets us acclimated to violence.
To severe violence on the homeland. All right, here, we're going to play this.
What would Harry do in this situation?
Friends and neighbors of wanderlust adventurer 32-year-old Harry DeVere leaning on each other with heavy hearts Saturday.
He just was someone that everyone could relate to, and he was just a great person that
Was being used to describe one of their closest friends for the first time. Loved ones have been searching for DeVere since he went missing on a bike trip through Mexico 6 months ago. They prayed he'd be found. But Thursday, Mexican authorities confirmed remains uncovered near a wrecked motorcycle are indeed DeVere's.
I'll never forget him. If it's true, he's my hero.
There is some skepticism. Family members, still clinging to hope, say that accurate DNA testing takes weeks. Meantime, those who've been touched by DeVere's spirit and fierce optimism unite over shared memories.
We're all hurting deeply, we all have heavy hearts, but at the same time, we just want to celebrate him. All he wants to do is help people. All he wants to do is inspire people. And I feel like even now, that's what he did. He inspired people to take each day and do what they want to do with it.
And the family spokesperson says they do want to conduct their own independent DNA testing.
How crazy is that? DNA tests confirm the human remains found in Mexico are that of missing American Harry DeVere. I mean, so you go riding across Mexico and you end up with your body stuck in a bag?
Yeah, apparently that's the Mexican drug cartel's new directive.
Right. This beheading seems to be as well. I mean, there have been stories in the past. It was actually one of the types of stories that I used to follow. If anyone remembers that bus ride in Canada, I'm trying to remember, it was on the East Coast. Was it from Ottawa, I believe? There was a guy with swords on a bus. Do you remember that?
Oh!
And he beheaded, he was like hacking the head off of a passenger. And no one knew what was going on at first. And then I think he tried to start eating him. And it was when all the zombie attacks were happening. That's why that one caught my attention.
And then there was one before that where there was this young man in his, I don't know, he must have been 19, I think he was. And he had killed two of his neighbors with swords. And then he tried to come across the border from like Ontario, and the border guards stopped him, because he had swords on him. And they were, I guess the guards were back in the back, like playing with these swords, and they had just, they were playing swords that had just committed murder.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I remember that kid. He was.
I think there was another one. Was he the same one that was the online porn star?
No. There
was another one.
Cases,
he was found in different pieces too.
Oh my god! Oh man, just crazy. The Mexican drug cartels are they're coming in, and there was all these recent shootings happening in the past couple of weeks in Chicago, and that was like apparently due to the Mexican drug cartels. They're all over the place now here because they're just streaming in over the border and, coming in here and beheading and kidnapping anybody they can now. It's terror. It's a terrorism directive.
Well, I was thinking about it the other day, and I think we talked about this on Wednesday, was just when you take a look at all of the created terrorists over in the Middle East that we had our hand in training and arming and, winding them up and letting them go. After hearing that clip the other day about, behind the drug cartels and how they influence what's going on at the southern border right now, it's the same basic scenario. We gave them guns, we were buying drugs, and now they're just streaming across, doing, whatever. I don't know. They're stirring up trouble in the South American countries. People are fleeing, but they're still traveling easily across the border.
Absolutely. There's nobody down there, like, trying to separate, these criminals from anyone else that are coming in.
What about the National Guard? Did you see any of that about Perry calling up the National Guard? What do you think of that?
Well, it pisses me off because he's only pulling that move because they can't physically do anything. They're not allowed to make any arrests. They're just down there as a show of force, so-called, and they can't. They have to like just stand there while everybody walks past them. So it's I don't know.
Is that because of Posse Comitatus?
No, Posse Comitatus is dead in this country. Bush overturned all that. No, that has nothing to do with Posse Comitatus. What it is a juke move pulled by Perry to make it look like he's actually doing something when in fact he's doing absolutely freaking nothing because those National Guard guys can't do anything. They can't deter anybody. They can't step in anybody's way. They can't make arrests. They can't detain. They can't do anything. And so
is that because of what they are? I mean, I really don't know anything about the National Guard.
No. I mean, National Guard can be used to protect borders. I mean, absolutely. You can totally call out National Guard. I mean, if there was like an incident on the border, like there is, or say because Michigan's a border state, say there was an incident on the Canadian border, then you put National Guard troops and stuff like that. Because National Guard's run by each state, individual state, so it's the Army and like the Marines and the Navy that can't be really deployed. That, according to Posse Comitatus, that is.
Okay.
But I think they can use National Guard troops. I believe that that's what the National Guard is for.
To guard the nation.
Yeah, supposedly.
Hence the name.
Supposedly. Yeah, I don't know. It makes me mad because he's literally. I think, and this is my personal opinion, I think he's just putting those National Guards down there for target practice for the drug cartels, and that's going to start an incident. I'm sure that's what they're doing. I'm almost positive of that, but that's just my supposition. So.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I think it's to stir up more chaos and, all this whole rush at the border is just going to make things more chaotic when it all fails. And, I mean, those borders are pretty much open. The gangs are pretty entrenched.
Yes.
They have a supply chain that goes unencumbered.
Here's something that Jimmy just posted real quick. When Governor Rick Perry of Texas announced plans to deploy 1,000 National Guard troops to help with the border crisis, it came with a power unexpected by some. By deploying them himself rather than through Washington, he has the power to order the troops to make arrests and apprehensions. That's interesting. Something Guard troops in past border deployments have been prohibited from doing. Well, that's interesting. And thanks, Jimmy, for that, because I did not know that. That's very interesting. And I know, let me try and find this too. I know that the UN has been posted down there for this so-called crisis as well, and they're directing crap down there.
See, I haven't seen any proof of that. I've heard people mentioning that, but I haven't seen anything to tell me that they're down there. I know that I saw, the whole Detroit thing.
Yes.
Let's see here. Hold on. UN warns Mexican borders, global pathway to U.S. That's from 2013, June 24th. Somebody says on Before It's News, UN troops coming to U.S.-Mexico border. The New American, which I think is a publication by one of those shills that, I don't know, actually. But I'm not sure this is, I don't know about this publication enough.
Yeah, there's one from the...
But it seems to be like one of the only ones. UN pushes to designate illegal immigrants from Central America as refugees, but there's no referenced source on this anywhere.
Yeah, see, that's
why I'm not sure about that, because I've only been hearing that as, people postulating. Which, yeah, it's a great postulation. Here's another one, Patriot update, but I don't... Oh, all right, here, NBC News. Not that trusting any type of mainstream news is real news either, but at least if it's been printed, you could say, well, NBC, has it on it, whatever. Yeah. UN makes push for border children to be called refugees. So they're making a push for them to be called refugees.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
This is from a few days ago on the 22nd. On Thursday, Migration and Interior Department representatives from the U.S., Mexico, and Central America will meet in Nicaragua. Dal, do you know anything about that?
No.
We'll discuss updating a 30-year-old declaration on the obligations nations have to aid refugees. Did you remember when we first talked about this? I was a little perplexed as to why they were calling them immigrants and not refugees, right? If it was so bad down there that people were fleeing violence, shouldn't they be considered refugees? Because I thought you were supposed to be giving refugee status. Now, when Fukushima happened, people tried to pull that to get out of Japan, and Canada and the United States turned them down.
Yeah, absolutely.
They turned them down refugee status. So it says Central Americans would be among the first modern migrants considered refugees for fleeing violence and extortion at the hands of criminal gangs. Honduras has the world's highest homicide rate for a nation not at war. In El Salvador, the end of a truce between street gangs has led to a sharp rise in homicides. Violence spread in recent decades after members of California street gangs, this is what we heard the other day, were deported to Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, where they overwhelmed weak and corrupt police forces. So there you go. Oh, there's even a video. I don't know. You want to hear it or no?
Yeah.
All right. Desperate Journey, it's called. And hopefully it's not 2 hours long, because if it is, we're going to kill it. And it's... I think that's a commercial.
No!
A 46-second commercial. Jeez.
Whoa! Are you kidding me? Man, they're getting just off the chain with these commercials.
Yeah.
Soon it's going to be like 5 minutes of the actual programming and then like 2 hours of freaking commercials.
Oh, and I lost the page. Oh,
wow, I just saw a hawk. I just saw a hawk fly into a tree. Woohoo! Look at that thing, man. I love living here.
As it's flying away with a small kitten in its talons.
A small Yorkshire Terrier.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Of the children coming across the border will be deported back to their home countries. This announcement comes as 3 more busloads arrived in San Diego today, many of them children getting pat-downs while being held behind chain-link fencing. Tonight we start a special series about this growing problem at our borders and the desperate journey of the children trying to get into this country. Our coverage begins in a place dangerous enough to make people flee there to escape. Stephanie Gosp reports from San Pedro Sula in Honduras.
Border Patrol in Honduras has a problem. It doesn't have the resources to stop unaccompanied minors from heading to the U.S.
The Honduran police are taking us to a spot that they call un punto ciego, a blind spot. They freely admit that there are parts of this border with Guatemala that they just can't patrol. It's where unaccompanied kids leaving without their parents cross.
The rest of the journey happens on foot, a tough climb up steep hills. On the other side is Guatemala. This team has just 1 vehicle and 20 officers to patrol 45 miles. The commander worries about the children's safety because of the many dangers along the road, he says. They are kids like these teenagers who live in San Pedro Sula, what many call the murder capital of the world. They did not want their faces on camera. I asked how many want to go to the U.S. Every hand went up.
Todos.
This neighborhood is controlled by 4 drug-dealing gangs who battle for territory. A local youth center is one of the only safe places for kids to come and play. This 15-year-old says his older brother is in a gang.
Tiene arma tu hermano.
An AK-47 is in the house, and he's scared.
You know, I'm going to stop for a second because here's the saddest part about all of this, okay? Is, you know, they're painting this picture of all this violence down there and these poor people and the kids and they want to escape and they want to come here, and I totally get all that. But how many of our inner cities are suffering the same plight?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
in downtown, you know, like go to, I don't know which side it is, South Side LA, where all the LA gangs are. Go to
Yeah.
Detroit. Go to New York City. You know what I mean? Go to the Bronx. This shit's going on everywhere. So,
Yes.
you know, it's more of a And here's what they're going to do. Gun control might get rid of it. It's not going to get rid of it. It's just going to make contraband all the more worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think a lot of this is bringing people like that in so that they can give them voting rights, and then they'll do anything the government asks them to, such as vote to confiscate everybody's gun.
Well, I had postulated that maybe this was, again, how they were looking to win the 2016 vote.
Yes, that too.
For Democrats.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And I think that's the plan to, and that's what this border head of the Border Patrol, Jimmy, played the clip the other night on Wednesday, and he absolutely said that. He said it was an absolute usurpation from the inside to take this country down.
Was that his personal opinion? I didn't hear that.
No, that was that's a fact. The guy was speaking from personal experience, and he was I can't remember what his name was or anything like that, but he he literally said that was what was going on, and that's the plan. So that's a scary thing, man. It scares the crap out of me, and obviously these people have been told all their lives that this is America, this is their land, and they're coming back to claim their land in their minds. That's what
well, you and I discussed that a few days ago.
Yeah.
In regards to a document, La Raza, and there was that other organization.
Metcha.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
La Raza, yes. Yeah, this is their whole thing. I mean, and really, if you know history, the Native Americans here always fought with the Mexicans to keep them out of this land. So literally, I mean, because it was big tribal fights back and forth across that border or whatever, and so that's they got it all wrong, tell you honestly. So it's a bad deal. This is not good. And then I'm actually, frankly, instead of the voting thing, I'm more worried about all the damn diseases that they're bringing in, because that's going to eradicate everybody faster than them voting for to take away our guns.
I think it's going to be massive violence and crime. Personally, hey, I mean, and well, this is how they're gonna. They're throwing all the nasty, evil stuff into one boiling cauldron. You know what I mean? Well, once you come here, and then your family can come, and your family happens to be part of the drug cartel.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they're recruiting. I've read it on air that they're recruiting these gangs are recruiting right at the border. These young men that are coming in through. The gangs are sitting there and they're recruiting them. So they're scooping them up en masse.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I wish I could ignore the border. It pisses me off so bad. It really pisses me off. Just, you don't even know, my blood pressure's going up even thinking about it, and I don't want to even think about it because I really have a problem with it.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm going to change topics. Snitching on your neighbor. Californians use drought shaming in water crisis.
Oh my God, really?
So see something, say something. Whoops, your neighbor's watering his lawn between the hours of 8 and 5 when it's not allowed. Call the hotline.
Oh my God.
California's drought is so severe that people there could face $500 fine for wasting water. That's giving a rise to a new phenomenon known as drought shaming. Carter Evans shows us how some in the Golden State are snitching on their neighbors.
In drought-stricken California, brown is the new green for lawns at the state capitol in Sacramento, and the hotline to report water wasters is flooded with calls.
Hi, I'd like to report a neighbor that has water running strong enough that it's making a puddle on the sidewalk.
So far this year, the number of complaints to the Sacramento Department of Utilities has skyrocketed to more than 10,000, up from about 700 the same time last year.
I want to report a house that is trying to drain the rest of the American River.
Obviously, we can't see everything, can't be everywhere, so having people in the community helping us out and residents and neighbors reporting those things is a great tool for us.
People are...
This is on... Oh, my God. See something and say something for the water waste. What on earth?
Keep going.
This is more disturbing than the border going on. Is that you got people calling the authorities, regardless of who the authority is, to blow people in? Oh.
I've got one to top that, too, so
Wait,
go ahead.
The room's moving. Okay, here.
The room's moving?
Oh, it's making me, so upset.
Uh-oh.
All right, here we go.
Battling on Twitter. Under the hashtag drought shaming are pictures of the precious resource going down the drain. Mikey Barnum wrote, "Way to hose down your entire sidewalk." Twice. Are you okay with being called a water snitch?
I am. I totally am.
Ming Wong posted this photo after he spotted sprinklers running for hours last Saturday, flooding this school field in Southern California. Essentially, they were watering dirt like this.
Exactly.
It looked like there was a mud pit in the middle of that field.
Yeah, you could basically swim in it, basically. I mean, it was pulling to the point where I got very concerned.
Now, here's the thing that I really want to know is in these drought-stricken states, there is something that's called gray water. You know, and I mean, even if you get to Utah with the NSA data center, and there were millions of gallons a day it was going to take for them to cool all their equipment and everything. Why are we using gray water to do shit like that? How about fracking? Fracking uses all this fresh water that can never, ever, ever be cleaned again to be drinkable. Why aren't we using gray water?
That makes total sense.
Watering lawns. Why aren't we using gray water? You know, drinking water should be drinking water. But you shouldn't be using clean, pristine water to water a lawn.
Absolutely.
All right, a little bit more.
California cities are now planning to hire more so-called water cops to respond to all the complaints. Starting August 1st, water wasters can be fined up to $500 a day, but the cost down the road could be much greater.
I don't know what they're doing, but it is the most wasteful water usage I've ever seen. I just want to try and save some water for my child in the future.
For CBS This Morning, Carter Evans, Los Angeles.
Well, it doesn't make good neighbors to be tattling, but it is an issue.
Yeah, when you're little, you're told don't be a tattletale.
Right.
But sometimes you have to just say, that's not right. I would at least try to go to the neighbor first.
Yeah, hello. At least they had some sense for one brief second.
Right.
Jeez.
Did you hear all those buzzwords, though? The buzzwords? Water cops, water wasters.
Yeah, I'm going to shame
mean?
you. Water wasters.
You water waster, you anti-vaxxer water waster. Oh, no. All right, I've got one to top that. You ready?
All right, yeah.
California couple conserving water amid the drought could face fine for a brown lawn.
Yeah, there was a couple. You saw, is that the one about the couple?
Yes.
Yeah, there was a video about that, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. All right, it says a Southern California couple who scaled back watering the lawn amidst the state's drought received a warning from the suburb from where they live that they might be fined for creating an eyesore, despite emergency statewide orders to conserve. Michael Court and Laura Whitney, who live near Los Angeles in Glendora, said on Thursday they received a letter from the city warning they had 60 days to green up their partially brown lawn or pay a fine ranging from $100 to $500. I don't think it's right for us to start pouring water on the lawn in the middle of July during a drought, said Whitney. We're kind of in a quandary about what to do. Well, there you go. Use the brown water.
Yeah, I don't understand why they're not jumping all over that, honestly.
Yeah, man, it's just ridiculous. So, I mean, really is kind of pointless for me to keep reading this. But, honestly, I mean, come on. I mean, take a freaking stance. I mean, can't have water. You know, you're getting fined because you can't water. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Do you want me to play the clip? I found it.
Yeah, that's
All
great.
Right. Hold on. This is Governor Brown. Yeah, this is the same $500 fine they were talking about.
Yeah.
Wonder if they got blown in by their neighbors for a brown
Over
water.
80% of the state of California is in a drought labeled as extreme by the U.S. Drought Monitor map. Residents have been asked to cut back on their water usage. But as Danielle Nottingham reports, not everyone is getting the message.
In the midst of California's unprecedented drought,
it's getting worse and worse, and I think everybody should be doing something about it.
Michael and Laura Cordy felt they were answering Governor Jerry Brown's urgent call to turn off the tap.
Everyone should try to do at least 20% conservation of their water use. This takes a coming together of all the people of California.
So now, the grounds outside the state capitol building are turning brown.
Oh!
So is the Cordy's lawn. On Tuesday, the same day, California officials authorized fines of up to $500 for overwatering. The Cordy's got this letter from the city of Glendora.
It said you have 60 days to get your lawn looking like this, or else.
And the penalty was fines of $100 to $500 or criminal prosecution, whatever that means.
Yes, a $500 fine for underwatering.
Now, wait a second. When have there ever been, I mean, I know like my local community, you might get a nasty letter from the town if you don't mow your lawn for a month and it's, knee-high length in a subdivision. They don't like that shit. But
right.
In the middle of July, if your lawn goes brown, guess what? It happens to my lawn every single year.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in watering when it gets that hot because it doesn't really do much. I mean, it does do much, but who wants to pay the water bill? I know I don't.
Yeah, big time.
And wait, who wants to mow the lawn every week? I know I don't. Once it's all dead, it's dead. All right, here, I'm going to play the end of this.
Crazy, considering the state of the state.
Yeah, it goes against common sense.
That's the dilemma facing Californians. Water so readily available, and yet so scarce. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Yeah, California, with its entire coast on the Pacific Ocean, we could be doing some sort of solar-powered distillation with reverse osmosis to get out the radiation and the salt.
Yeah, you'd have to get out the radiation first.
Well, I mean,
yeah, there's
not
a
that it would
giant...
make that much of a difference with it being airborne, but you'd want to at least try. But I mean, you have the entire coast of the state is on the ocean. There's no excuse. There's no excuse to be out of water.
No, I mean they know how to make desalination plants.
I saw that they were working on one. There was a story I posted probably a month or two ago. I believe it was in Southern Cali. Everything sounded great until I got down to the bottom of the article, and they had said that they were going to be taking the salt, the brine that they pulled out of the ocean water, and they were going to be pumping it back into the ocean. And I'm like, well, I guess with the volume of the ocean, for at least the foreseeable future, it probably won't cause any major issues except locally, like right where they're pumping it, right? It's probably going to get extremely salty.
Yeah.
And mess up the balance of, saline or whatever they call it there, brine. But here's the problem. If you remember basic chemistry 101, where you were doing a suspension, and you had a simple experiment. You had a glass of water, and typically warm water is better because it dissolves. It allows particulates to dissolve better. So here, let's say you have a glass of water, and you're stirring it, and you're adding salt or sugar, and salt or sugar, salt or sugar, and it's dissolving as you're stirring it, and dissolving and dissolving and dissolving. There comes a point where the fluid gains what's called saturation. And that's when the particulate starts to fall out because it's super saturated and nothing else can be absorbed into the fluid. So that's the problem that I see. If we have especially if we have lots of desalination plants, I know Australia's been talking about it as well. Again, Australia is a large continent, but it is surrounded on every side by the ocean. There's no excuse for a massive 10-plus year drought there. I just don't get it. I don't get it. But I would say you would do something like create a brine pile and then use the brine for things such as, I don't know, desalting the roads in the winter.
Yeah. Bingo.
As opposed to using frack brine fluid for desalting the roads like they're doing right now.
Right. And the thing is, doing it that way, they'd be able to make money instead of just putting it back into the ocean. They could be selling it to states that need salt.
Exactly. I don't know.
Come on. These people are freaking morons.
But yeah, I was all excited when I saw the desalinization plant, and then I was like, wow, that's really dumb, the way they're doing it. I hope somebody realizes how dumb this is before it's too late.
Yeah.
As they're finding more dead starfish, which I'm sure don't do too well in a highly saline environment.
No, not whatsoever. Gosh, I just don't get it. I mean, they could be making revenue from it.
Right.
Come on.
Making revenue. All right, so on the See Something, Say Something, I wanted to take a little foray further into that, because I saw a story on Shit at the Fan Plan yesterday, the day before, and I am going to admit, I see now it's from Paul Joseph Watson, but I like his accent.
I love his accent.
He's okay. Titled, Feds Urge Paramedics and Firefighters to Help Find Quote-Unquote Extremists. And honestly, I've watched a lot of his stuff and I've heard a lot of his stories over the years as they've been published around, and he does a pretty good job of
I like him personally. I can't. He's not really been too off the mark, really.
No. So he's one of the few from that group that there's a couple actually. Tony Cartolucci too is now associated with them, but I was always a fan of Tony long before when he was just running his little blog.
Cool.
Anyway, so I want to read this. It says the federal government is asking paramedics and firefighters. And now, I know that the firefighter thing actually came to light after that, what I almost would have to say was a stage shooting in outside of Rochester in Charlotte, I believe it was. It's on the east side of Rochester, up on the bay, right at Lake Ontario, where there was a fire. I don't know if you remember that, but the neighbor, I guess, did a straw purchased this firearm for this crazy freaking neighbor and gave it to him. Then he created, he arsonized, if that's even a phrase. He started a house or two on fire up there, and when the firemen came, he started picking them off with an AR-15? Yeah, AR-15. And that was what Cuomo pointed to when he then, did the knee-jerk reaction, and it was shortly after Sandy Hook to then do the SAFE Act in New York State. And to me, it was just so contrived, or did they just use it to jump on the bandwagon? But it definitely was an isolated incident. I've talked about this before. As far as AR-15 shootings in New York State, there aren't very many that I can remember, and it was just very convenient that one in Charlotte happened, especially going after first responders to boot, right after Sandy Hook.
Yeah, and of course they had to make the straw man purchase beforehand.
Mm-hmm. So then, the whole SAFE Act came into play without discussion, within, overnight, and that was the end of that. So anyway, the federal government is asking paramedics and firefighters to be on the lookout for quote-unquote extremists as part of a program that aims to uncover quote-unquote suspicious activity. There was a video from about a month or two ago. Oh, actually, you know what? Remind me after this story. There was one more water story that I wanted to get to. That was a trending topic that I wanted to play. Anyway, the suspicious activity was something that they had brought up in Florida a while ago. I believe it was Waste Management, the trash company, that had gotten into a partnership with the local sheriff's department, and they have recruited the employees of the garbage company to see something, say something.
Oh, yes. Giant spy net.
Yes, spies in your garbage. And I remember even a longer time ago, there was a ruling that if something was in your garbage, it actually was public belongings. You know what I mean? Like anyone can pick through your garbage. It's not your belonging. You can't claim that was mine and that you were, invading my privacy.
Interesting.
from let's say a private investigator. If it's in your trash, it's out there.
Right.
So be aware of that too. Throwing out bills or whatever. I shred everything. If I don't have my shredder, I rip it to little pieces.
Ugh, I burn stuff.
Do ya? Yeah, I do in my fireplace in the winter.
Yeah.
Anyway, a bulletin, and I do remember this bulletin. A bulletin released March 2014 by the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and the National Counterterrorism Center, obtained by Public Intelligence. That is that great website. Anybody wants to spend some spare time doing some research into FOIA documents, the website you want to bookmark is publicintelligence.net. There's so much information out there, you will just like shit yourself, literally.
Wow, that's awesome.
Honestly, I mean, they are like bulldogs going after documentation, and they PDF everything and they post it. And there's some amazing stuff out there.
Fantastic.
But it can be their site contains a newly posted document that contains details of a program entitled, quote, Emergency Medical Treatment Presents Opportunity for Discovery of Violent Extremist Activities. Repeat that. Emergency Medical Treatment Presents Opportunity for Discovery of Violent Extremist Activities. The bulletin, which was sent out to firefighters, emergency medical personnel, and other first responders nationwide, encourages these groups to watch for, quote, indicators of violent extremist activities, unquote, during their line of work. First responders are asked to, quote, evaluate whether an injury is a genuine accident or related to violent extremist activities, unquote, by noting hastily or expediently treated injuries which may be signs of suspicious activity. So that's like a tampon stuffed into a bullet hole. Right? Did you know
and you
that?
Get your finger stuck in there too?
Yeah.
And you have to come pry out?
Yeah. That was something that I actually found one time for my Off-Grid Journey page, was tampons being used to treat bullet wounds, at least for a temporary period. I don't know if you ever heard that before.
Sure, they're
kind of disturbing to think that you'd have a hole stuck in your side that big, but oh my God, I guess it would work.
Well, maxi pads are really, really good in stopping blood flow too. So if you got like bigger, like a gash or a rip in your skin or side or wherever, your leg, you can use maxi pads to soak up the blood and use as a compress.
So there you go. Add that to your shit at the fan list.
Oh, absolutely. Tampons and maxi pads, absolutely.
Yes, lots of them, generic.
Essential to every bug out pack.
The thought of EMTs becoming distracted by a function which allows them to pretend that they have a starring role in CSI Miami instead of promptly treating someone who is seriously burned will not fill potential victims of such accidents with much confidence. No, that's a very good point. Asking firefighters and paramedics to double as amateur spies is sure to prompt criticism that the program will only interfere with the vital functions performed by these individuals, and that the government is once again tasking untrained personnel with the jobs of catching terrorists. You know, Hammy used to do first responder stuff. I don't know if he's listening this morning, but if he wants to weigh in on this. And I mean, I can't even imagine if you're responding to an emergency. I mean, obviously, if you walk into a place and you see that the whole place is loaded with machine guns, but are you really going to, like, at that point, pick up your cell phone and make a phone call? Because I'm not going to think so.
Right.
I think even if, you know, when you're a doctor in a trauma center and there's been gang violence, my friend I went to college with became an oral surgeon, and he did his residency in the emergency room in the Bronx. So, you know, and he actually is a world-class oral surgeon now, and he credits a lot of that with being in the emergency department in the Bronx. Think about it, oral surgery, gang wars, emergency room. You know, he probably saw some really horrific stuff that, you know, the second they rolled in the door, you were under fire. So to task them with then, like the said, being undercover policemen and making phone calls, see something, say something, to me does not really fit with the job. Maybe after the fact in a report somewhere, maybe it gets filed under, you know, supposed gang violence or something, but
Yeah, well, remember the docs that when the cops brought in that they gave them anal exams in 3 different hospitals.
Well, in Arizona, that is absolutely true. And actually, here was another thing I was just thinking of if I didn't forget it, and I may have. Hold on. Yeah, it's gone. Never mind. It's okay. All right, so I'm going to read a little bit more. Easily the most ludicrous example of this context was when TSA trained thousands of workers. Oh, yeah, I remember now. It's about doctors. Mainly hot dog vendors and parking lot attendants to watch for terrorists at the 2012 Super Bowl. I do vaguely remember that. Something else I was going to bring up is with Obama after the Sandy Hook incident, he came out with his 35, 23, 46 executive actions, if you remember. And he was calling upon doctors and psychiatrists to be the first line of defense as well in regards to firearm violence. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
One of the things that doctors are supposed to do now is ask you about whether or not you have firearms in the home and whether or not there's domestic violence and, whether or not you're depressed and all these other things, and then make a note of it.
Yes.
The program targeting EMTs and firefighters also entrenches the perception that there are potential terrorists scheming inside every American home, creating the atmosphere of fear and distrust, when in fact the statistical likelihood of someone being killed by a terrorist is less than that of being killed by a toddler. And, we've been seeing that over the last year or two, just in the frequency of these stories of, high school students being recruited. I mean, we've been watching it on this show. Every week goes by, there's always something, terror, look, there's another one, and there's terrorists in the bathroom, and they're playing whack-a-mole, and they're recruiting teenagers, and whatever. It's just freaking ridiculous. As Washington's blog story highlights, data from 2011 shows that Americans are more likely to be killed by a plethora of mundane things in comparison to terrorism, including drowning in the bathtub, being struck by lightning, or being hit by an asteroid. So, there you have it.
A terrorist asteroid.
Terrorist asteroid. Yeah, here, I want to open up that publicintelligence.net article and just take a look at it. And, hey, look! There's a video from Channel 7. And I don't know, it almost looked like it was a local Rochester, but I don't recognize the call letters. But wait, there's more. Hey, it looks like publicintelligence.net has started including stories as well.
Hey!
Only the FOIA documents, so this is freaking awesome. Here's an embed video.
Police stopped what could have become a deadly situation in Anne Arundel County.
They busted a man who they say had his house rigged with explosives. That house is on Edgerly Road in Glen Burnie. Chris Van Cleave was in our newsroom with what else investigators found at that house. Chris.
Well, Allison and Leon, this started as a call about a potentially suicidal man. That man turned out to be the suspect, and cops noticed a distinct chemical odor on him and that he was suffering from what were potentially blast-related injuries. That all led to the bomb squad searching his house.
Investigators say inside this Glen Burnie house were all the ingredients of a homegrown terror attack.
He was making bombs and he was making explosives.
These materials were capable of maiming, injuring, or killing human beings.
So he burned his house down?
28-year-old Todd Wheeler stands accused of 2 counts of building and possessing what essentially were improvised explosive devices. Compared to this photo from his Facebook page dated 2012, Wheeler shows signs of a marked decline. No one answered the door today, but when explosive experts from Anne Arundel Police, Fire, and the ATF searched Wheeler's home Thursday night, they say it was possibly booby-trapped. Inside, weapons, 100 pounds of chemicals used to make explosives, instruction manuals, and what appeared to be at least 2 bombs. Enough material to create a blast radius of 50 yards, the fire marshal says, taking out Wheeler's home and several of the surrounding neighbors.
I think it's kind of crazy, I mean, he's got a firefighter lives next door to him there, and I put in sprinklers for fire protection.
It's pretty sad that something like that's going on in your own backyard. Honestly, I just tried to avoid him as much as I could.
This man asked we not show his face and alter his voice. He worries his home could have been in danger too.
I kind of had a feeling he was up to no good.
We don't know what his intentions were, But whatever his intentions, the investigation prevented that from happening.
You know, I guess here's one of my questions about all of this. So, okay, first responders responded and they found the stuff inside of his house, and then they called ATF and whatever. But did the guy do anything illegal? I mean, I don't know what they recovered. I don't know exactly what the substances were or anything. But do you remember that case in California where they ended up burning that guy's house down because they said he had all kinds of incendiaries in there, and then it came out that it was gunpowder.
It was gunpowder, and it was hobby rocket fuel.
Right, and it was like reloading gear and stuff.
Yes.
So, you know, the question was this guy a reloader, or was he dangerous enough to burn his house down?
Exactly. Now,
you know, and again, another one who didn't do anything.
Right, but if you exhibit strange, suicidal or erratic behavior, and then you have accelerant,
public.
Yes, twitching in
or you
public.
Smell funny, isn't it?
You smell weird. Yeah, exactly. You smell like accelerant, dude. We're gonna go check your house.
Maybe it was the vodka you drank last night.
That's an accelerant.
The Everclear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I don't know.
God.
I don't know. All right, I'm going to play the last little bit.
In addition to the bomb-related charges he's facing, he's also been charged with reckless endangerment, and investigators say they are considering additional state and federal charges. We're told Wheeler is not cooperating with investigators. Live in the newsroom, Chris Van Cleve, ABC 7 News.
I guess I'm reading this story here. It maybe sounds like he was up to something. It says, to support its claims, the Bulletin cites the January 2014 arrest of a Maryland man named Todd Dwight Wheeler for making and possessing explosive materials. According to the Baltimore Sun, Wheeler was arrested after having one of his relatives call 911 and reported that he may be suicidal. So be aware, see something, say something.
Yep.
This was his family member that called. Paramedics reportedly found Wheeler, quote, suffering from injuries caused by, quote, chemical and mechanical reactions, including burns to one of his limbs. The paramedics determined could have come from a blast. After speaking with Wheeler, first responders became suspicious of his story, suspicious of his injuries, and suspicious of his distinct chemical odor. Police later searched the home with the help of the tobacco and firearms explosive agents and found several completed bombs, more than 100 pounds of chemicals, including acids, fuels, oxidizers, and explosive precursors, components of destructive devices, including igniters and detonators, an automatic Ruger Mini 14, and other knives and guns, as well as manuals and books detailing explosive manufacturing and booby traps with titles like The Poor Man's James Bond, Booby Traps, and Deadly Brew, highly explosive pyrotechnic compositions. Now, again, owning all of these things, I don't know if this is illegal or not, but I guess let it be a lesson. He faces up to 10 years in prison and didn't do anything to hurt anybody.
Right. It's just...
He was the only one that was hurt.
Minority Report, pre-crime crap.
Yeah, this is definitely...
Booby traps and deadly brews. The books certainly can't be used against him, although...
Well, they're watching purchases, though. I mean, remember, that happened a long time ago for Amazon. Anything you're searching book-wise and that you're buying, they're watching. That's why used bookstores in your local community are such a great place.
That's right, that's right. Well, okay, so is that all for that?
Yeah, that was it for that story.
This is interesting now. I was watching the Doomsday Preppers last night in the new episode that came out, and they were featuring this family that was doing taxidermy out of their house.
Oh, God. I know a guy that does taxidermy, actually.
What these guys were doing, and this is the see something, say something paranoia culture that they're trying to, create here. But these people were literally putting IEDs, like powders and explosive stuff, inside like these little animals, like squirrels, pheasants, like groundhogs and stuff, and they were placing it around their property like booby traps, and then all they would have to do is like lay in a sniper's position if they when some hungry like trespasser comes up, and then bam, they blew the little squirrel up. Oh my God, this is like totally the See Something, Say Something, and that was like aired for everybody to see. So, how much you want to make a bet that family's going to get SWAT teamed soon after the airing of that? I'd be willing to like place a little wager on that, friendly little wager. They're going to get investigated, I'm sure, by the feds. So, I don't know. It was interesting. Oh, make sure, since we're done with this, play that water clip. Oh, she must have went up for another cup of coffee, guys. That's great. But that was, it was, that was like completely interesting with them blowing up those little critters. They were like, whoa! And it was actually, I mean, kind of cool. I mean, it seems like an awful lot of work to do for an IED, but it was pretty effective, I would say, and it was an ingenious way to, protect your property if the grid goes down. So I kind of like that little segment on the Doomsday Preppers show last night. That was interesting. So I don't know. So I mean, really, they're probably gonna get their neighbors like freaking out after that episode aired last night. So my guess is that they're gonna soon be looked in on by the ATF or whatever for their little squirrel explosions. That's basically the culture that we're going to be. That's what it is, and they've got, and I also remember quite some time ago, a couple years at least, where they had truckers on the highway looking into cars and, see something, say something. They were recruiting truckers for that crap.
I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah,
and they also are in trying to get ministers and preachers in churches doing that crap too.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the ministers is that churches are part of that 1033 program. I don't know if you're aware of that, but that was the program to get them the surplus military gear, and churches were also where the at the time it was FEMA, that training class that I took for the CERT training, where they did all of the where you were the supplement to the first responders. They were teaching us about pandemics and how to extricate people and whatever. They were targeting churches for those classes as well.
See, there you go. Yeah, this is it's going to be. You missed my. I think you went up for another cup of coffee. Or something.
I did. Yeah.
You missed my cute little story.
Oh. Well, we'll have to the taxidermy. Drop it to me. I'll read it out.
Yeah, it was the taxidermy story. It was on Doomsday Preppers last night. They were putting little IED explosive devices inside little squirrels and little pheasants and blowing them up from afar, with a
horrible
fire.
They could be good booby traps in the future.
Right, but my supposition was, like, it was aired last night and watch their neighbors or something go freak out, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know, anyone who goes on that show, I hate to tell you, but I wouldn't be going on that show at all.
Especially doing stuff with explosives.
Hell no. There have been a couple people already that went on, and after showing their stores, they got freaking busted. ATF.
Exactly. Yeah, I think
and put your face on there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to talk about, actually, there's two more stories I have up, and this probably will eat up most of this time.
Don't forget the water one you wanted.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that at the end. Facial recognition software has been around for a long time. We had the 230-point facial points that they were using, right? And I just read something recently where the NSA now is, and I will guarantee you they're using some sort of Google crawler, just scraping up every image they can find on the internet and using it to identify people. So anyway, there was a story that came out yesterday for a piece of software that has been developed by computer scientists from Hong Kong University. The title of this is Record-Setting Facial Recognition Software Tests Near Perfect. Near Perfect. It has an algorithm score of 99.15% accuracy. It says this could prove to be a game-changing technology in automated crowd security. So I do have a clip for this. Here we go. We better start finding out.
Surveillance.
Hold on. We better start finding out what the best way is to put on a baseball hat and
surveillance cameras have proved a powerful tool when monitoring large crowds for signs of danger. But pinpointing a suspicious person or activity can be like finding a needle in a haystack. But soon, that job may prove easier with the help of a new facial recognition computer program developed by Professor Xiao Tang and his team at Hong Kong University.
A couple months ago, we got a result that actually surpassed the human performance on recognizing face.
Humans recognize faces at an accuracy rating of 97.53%. Tong's software scored a near-perfect 99.15%, besting humans and all other facial recognition programs to date. Tong's program was tested using thousands of picture sets to show how accurately it could recognize whether two photographed faces were of the same person, regardless of changes in lighting, makeup, and camera angles. Assistant Professor Xiaogang Wang says this software could help law enforcement and security agencies to seek out individuals among a crowd of thousands, and by interpreting facial expressions, it could predict violent activity before it starts.
We try to develop a computation model, try to detect and track and analyze the behavior of the crowd and predict the potential crowd disasters. But the traditional way, the video surveillance, they only focus on a small number of objects in a very simple environment. And now what we are doing, we target on thousands of objects, targets, and in very complex environment. So this problem is very, very challenging.
It's a problem Wang and Tong believe can be solved as computer processing speeds increase with time. For now, they're content, knowing their algorithm could lay the foundation for the next generation of security systems that will keep people safe and ultimately save lives.
Yeah, it's always under that guy's now, isn't it? Keeping people safe and saving lives. They'll be able to find you out of thousands in a crowd. And did you hear what he said?
Actually, I did. That's nuts.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the phone. But that's okay. I'm sorry.
All right. Hold on, because something that they had said that I want to continue on. I got to find the video, though. He had said that not only will they be able to... wait, is this? Yeah, liked. Not only will they be able to find you, one person, in a crowd, but they'll also be able to determine your mood. That's something that really worries me, and especially for someone like me that tends to walk around angsty a lot of the time. Because I do. I will freely admit it, but it's okay, because angstiness is what motivates me at times. That's not a good thing, and if you remember back to the FBI watch list of all the things to look out for when you're trying to identify a terrorist, see something, say something, there were a whole bunch of things to look for in regards to someone sweating, with someone walking around with a scowl, looking angry, etc., etc. Hold on, we're going to see, because there was some software they were planning on putting in cars. And,
to watch your eye movements where your eye was falling on the road.
To watch your facial expressions to see if you're going to fall victim to road rage.
Jeez. Oh my God.
And now there's these emoto bots. Now I'm going to get way off the topic, but there was one the other day that came out and it said something about keeping everyone happy. I'm like, oh no! The sex bots finally arrived, but it's not like that way of keeping people happy. It just literally meant keeping people happy because they were able to identify your emotions by your facial expressions. It's very, very disturbing to me. And now they really are pushing, I think it was the under $1,000 home robots are coming, and they're going to start hitting the market next year. So it made me think of iRobot.
Oh, my God.
That. I'm not getting a home robot. Thank you very much.
No. And they're really pushing that crap on TV, too.
Oh, everywhere. Everywhere. You know, this past Christmas, my munchkin came to me. She wanted some freaking automated robot dog that when I started looking into it, because I wanted to know, I was like, oh, it's got camera eyes? How interesting. I'm going to look into who this company is. And I dig into the company, and then I dig into the technology, and then I dig into who made the technology. And the company that was making the cameras and the guts for this thing actually were a surveillance company. So I will guarantee you, and I think we even talked about it at the time, you know, I felt really bad telling her that no, Santa was not bringing one of the robot dogs, unfortunately. But think about it. That's the one place where you probably won't have a cell phone. You might have a baby monitor, but you're not going to have a cell phone. You know, this way, if it's a child's toy, they're going to be able to monitor all the interaction with the children, just like they're doing with the Xboxes and the PlayStations now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so pretty scary thought. All right, so let me pop over because there was one more story I really wanted to get to, and then we'll look at the other water story. And this is getting back to the See Something, Say Something and training first responders. I had heard about this place once before, but it looks like it now came out in a news story. They are calling it Disaster Disneyland. And when I took that FEMA class, we actually took that class at the Emergency Operations Center for the county. So it was pretty neat because it was right in the same place where the first responders trained. And in the back was the firemen's training facility, which the last day of class, that was actually one of the big things we got to do. We wore all the equipment. They had fires going inside. We had people laying on stairs. We had this whole scenario, and everyone had their position, and we had to go into a burning building. You know, obviously it wasn't really burning, but they had burners burning everywhere. It was pretty cool. Well, there is a place that is just like beyond catastrophe where first responders train. It is an 830-acre training complex in Georgia. This is from the 23rd, so 2 days ago, titled America Nuked, Marines Train for Counterterrorism Crisis at Disaster Disneyland.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, oh, my God is right. So here, let me just play this.
Now to a story you'll see only on CBS this morning. It's the what-if scenario that keeps counterterrorism experts up at night. An attack on a major American city.
Hello.
Marines are training for that type of crisis right now. They're at a facility that's nicknamed the Disaster Disneyland. Mark Strassman is in Perry, Georgia, in the middle of the action. Mark, good morning.
Stop. Okay, so we have them preparing for an attack on a major U.S. city, and I believe this is about getting nuked. So how nice is that, huh?
Oh, very nice. Oh,
All right, here, play a little more.
In this scenario, terrorists have detonated a 10-kiloton nuclear bomb in Indianapolis. There are 17,000 casualties, the dead and dying.
Hey, Prepper Chick, did you just hear what he just said? He said the scenario detonated a 10-kiloton bomb in Indianapolis, is what he said.
Oh, my God.
Holy crap. I'm going to have to send this one to her.
Yeah.
Let me play a little bit more.
Specially trained Marines have to push inside a 5-mile hot zone of radiation that rings the city.
Our first priority is to save lives. That is my unit's mission above all things, is to save lives and relieve the suffering. Give me the toughest mission.
Relieve suffering? Is that a bullet between the eyes? If you're too far gone?
Yeah. You know, spread radiation.
Yeah, all right.
That you have dense population, and we'll immediately begin dragging those casualties out.
Colonel Stephen Redifer commands these 200 Marines in a special unit called CBIRF, which stands for Chemical Biological Incident Response Force.
We possess unique capabilities that allow us to go into a contaminated environment, be it chemical, biological, radiological, or just simply a large conventional explosive.
The Marines triage civilians and can process 250 people an hour in decontamination tanks.
I'm going to stop because this is freaking me out. Is this not what we've been leading up to over the last month of these stories, right?
Absolutely.
Looking at, oh, it's Ebola, or Barry coming out, that was 2 months ago, saying about, oh, what if the terrorists, blow up a nuclear weapon in New York City? Then Dick Cheney coming out.
Yes.
Guys, this is not good.
No.
This is not good. All right, a little bit more.
Sometimes it's easy to forget this is a training exercise.
I think this is about as real as it gets.
This is the Guardian Centers, an 830-acre training complex built on the grounds of a former missile plant. It has a 1-mile, 4-lane highway and a simulated downtown with 60 buildings of all sizes.
You have to plan and you have to train. Hope is not a plan.
Jeff Burkhart founded Guardian Centers 3 years ago. He got the idea when he saw the immediate response to Katrina, one disaster following another.
An agency, an army, will perform under great stress. They'll perform to their lowest level of conditioned training. So the higher you can raise that bar, the better the response.
People hired to play the wounded look like they strolled off the set of Walking Dead. This woman is going into labor.
You help me.
Live role players.
People hired to play the wounded, and he just called them live role players. These are actors that they hire. Crisis actors, absolutely.
Give you an aspect of free play training that just doesn't exist with mannequins or dummies or anything like that. They're going to respond differently. They're going to act differently. They're real people.
In their training exercise, Colonel Redifer's Marines have reached downtown.
They're all wearing NBC suits, by the way, in this video.
They better be.
Yeah.
She.
The biggest challenge in this scenario is just the sheer size of it. We have to go in and cover and search every single floor, every single building, every single closet, and it is just exhausting.
How important is training like this, given the world we live in?
If it's readiness, because we can't predict when this is going to happen.
When?
In this collapsed building, these Marines are practicing a search and rescue operation, and they're going floor by floor and through every inch of this collapsed building, looking for bomb victims. As an added touch of realism, there are parts of this complex that are putting out low levels of radiation. We've been wearing these gadgets. They're called dosimeters, and they measure how much radiation each of us has been exposed to.
Wow. That was pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's hardcore.
So, all right, what a way to leave a Friday.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
once filmed one of those trainings, chemical trainings once. I actually filmed one, like from start to finish.
Oh, that's great.
And I actually filmed the Army involved as well. They had busloads of kids and just the whole 9 yards.
The thing that gets me is, in the middle of all this, we have things like somebody breached the Brooklyn Bridge, and even with 24-hour surveillance, nobody saw who got up there and swapped the flags out with the surrender flag.
Right.
So here we're worried about attacks in U.S. cities, yet we can't even protect the flag on the top of the Brooklyn Bridge?
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a bit of an issue. Because if it wasn't a white flag, it could have been replaced with something else.
Well, they could have put an IED on the bridge, for God's sake. You know what I mean?
That's right.
This is just, the whole thing is ridiculous. I saw some other stuff the other day that I'm not even going to be able to get into now because there's only a couple minutes left, but maybe we'll look at it on Monday. All right, so now for a little bit lighter story, though it really isn't light because I think that this is a bit of a problem, is this the last water story that I wanted to play. The title is, Did Lawn Turn into a Giant Waterbed? And it sure looks it to me. This is what happens when you get a shitty lawn company, I guess. Hold on.
That is just something.
Alabama.
Your eyes are not fooling you, and it's not a magic trick. The recent wet weather has turned this Mount Hope yard into a holding cell for the weekend's rain.
And it made it into a waterbed.
Kenny Creel with the Alabama Cooperative Extension System says that although bizarre, it's not the first time he's seen floating green.
I'd seen something very similar to that several years ago, and actually exactly like that several years ago at Huntsville High School's football field.
The field had a busted pipe, and like this spongy yard, it's caused by water getting into a crevice and collecting between the sod and the soil, tempting some people to pop nature's water balloon.
I always wanted to do that. When it took them several months to get the one fixed at Huntsville High School, and I was always tempted to do it, but I never did.
And so the sod is literally floating on top of the water. I've actually seen that before.
Wow.
It's kind of freaky looking.
Oh, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, they're
cool.
just kind of walking around and sinking in, but it's like just like a waterbed.
Wow.
That's
That's amazing, man.
So that's about it. We made it to the end of the show, if you can even believe it. And I wasn't sure how I was even going to do the show today. I just have so many things in my mind trying to... I got to get out of here today. This is my thing. I am leaving today, but I got stuff I got to get done before I can even think about leaving.
Well, go for it and get it done and knock it out and go and enjoy your beer when you get there.
Yeah, actually, I get to drink today. It's been 10 days on antibiotics. Yay! I know. I'm ready for it. It's been a long 10 days.
Yeah, I bet.
So I just want to remind everybody, it is Friday. So Friday night we have some good shows. Mr. Jimmy Funky is live tonight. We have replays from Brandon and Danielle and Kyle. We also have Josh and Mr. Actually, no, Friday night is Levon live. So that should be fun. Stick around. All weekend is great programming as well. If you get a chance, I know I've been dropping links. The pigminenews.com website has been launched. Though there has been no fanfare yet, it's coming. There's a few more things that I'm tinkering with on the back end, but everything is functional, and it looks pretty slick, I have to say.
I like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good info out here. We're working on trying to get archives. I did some different sorting on the uploads and the most viewed for the different channels, so I think if you do a little bit of digging, you'll come upon some stuff that you never saw before, because I know I've come across a couple. I was like, wow, how did I miss that?
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, so check that out if you get a chance. Make sure, too, Nick Burnaby has a new website up, theantimedia.org. It looks pretty mint. Brandon Turville posts to there. I think Heather Callion is going to be posting there at some point in the future. I'm posting some videos there that I found, typically some of the police brutality stuff. So that's a great website. BrandonTurrell.com. Make sure you check out his stuff. All of his newest stories there are there. His newest stories are there as well. And that takes us to the end of the show. Thank you so much, Lady Pippo.
Thank you.
Here on a Friday. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Mr. Matty Cruz.
Matty.
Donation. Thank you.
He's so cute.
He's been doing a weekly daily.
Aw.
Thank you so much for the support. No, it's appreciated. Thank you to everyone who has sponsored our sponsors. Hey, guys, I'll be around this weekend. Everyone do something fun tonight. Take care.